Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Pure Officiating Universe. It's Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock Central Time. My name is Daniel Young, coming to you from Houston, Texas. Well, Kingwood, but nobody knows what that means. Hope everybody is doing really well tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Really looking forward to this session. It's not just because Tuta's not here. There's other reasons. But with us, as usual, we have Brandon Cruz. I think he's in the home base of Rapid City, South Dakota. And, of course, Mr. Corey Luxner with us at home in Westminster, Colorado. And joining us for the first time ever, live from Las Vegas, Nevada, Mr. Roscoe Meisenheimer. Roscoe, thanks so much for being with us tonight, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate the invitation, and it's always great to talk football. Absolutely.
We're glad to have you. We need some umpire perspective, so we're looking forward to that. And then, you know, that you're here for $2 is just an added bonus. All right. We've got some great plays to look at. Let's get to it. What do you say, Brandon?
We want an umpire perspective? I'm not sure we got the right guy, but we'll see. We'll find out.
Oh, no, we got him. We got the right guy.
We got the right guy. Let's talk some substitutions. 2 substitution plays tonight. This one's been going all around. Great camera work, but that wasn't our fault. Look, the result of the play is the runner is down. It was third down. He's down at the +3, and now it's going to be 4th and goal. So we're going to send subs in. Okay, a poll's going to pop up. You're going to see field goal team is coming on. Offense, that's the team in the white jersey bringing their field goal team on. And here we go. The player right here circled in blue with the arrow indicates where he's going to go line up. Okay, so what are your options? It's a legal play. It's a foul for illegal substitution under Rule 3-5. It's a foul for unsportsmanlike conduct. UNS is our code for unsportsmanlike conduct because of an unfair act under Rule 922B. Go ahead and look those up if you need to. Now, the kicker gets a direct snap and throws the football to that player who lined up out wide. So this is just going to continue to loop. The second loop basically does not show all the Crayola drawings. So cast your votes. So Roscoe, we'll have some polls like this. Are you seeing the poll on your screen? We'll just kind of work your way into this platform here.
I do not see the poll on my screen.
So over to your right, there's a red menu.
Oh, I see it now. I got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Awesome.
You are dealing with an umpire. I got there.
No jokes here. We need umpire support. We got an RPO play coming up where we've been standing on high talking about how this needs to be worked, but none of us work it. So I can't wait to hear your perspective as that comes up here in a few plays. The votes are still coming in. Daniel, are you seeing votes coming in, or is it evening out?
Yeah, it's pretty static on my side.
Yeah, we're looking pretty good right now.
You never know. One of the things we always have fun with is where's everybody at in cyberspace on this? You know, who's seeing what portion in this? And it just jumped again, didn't it?
It did.
All right, guys, close enough. And interestingly enough, we put this one out on our public huddle site or whatever and had similar voting, and the results are basically the exact same. So 60% of us said it's a legal play. 36% of us said it's an unfair act. All right. Roscoe, your scrimmage kicks, your mechanics on a scrimmage kick change a little bit talking about pre-snap. What are you usually looking for as you transition to, and maybe talk through your process on a scrimmage kick? Are you spotting the ball? Are you talking to the center? And then what are you looking for from the referee?
Well, again, right now, I think we also have to have situational awareness of know where we are during the game. So I think at the end of this play, we're at around 250. So again, now it's 4th down and we have substitutions for an apparent kick. I'm going to be holding up the center, making sure that the defense has time to match up. Also keying in on my referee as he's, out with the iron cross But again, making sure that that the defense has a chance to match up and get those subs in and out. But again, taking knowledge of where we are in the game. Had this play been late in either half, then that's when we're not going to hold up the offense, because it's presumed that the defense should know that they're obviously going to go out there and try to make a kick. In this case, we're outside of that threshold. So again, it's all about working the process. And so in this case, for me as being an umpire, I have control of that and making sure that, the center holds up, and we're going to hold the offense up until we get the defense to get a chance to match up.
Perfect. So good discussion on mechanics from the umpire position. So let's basically answer the poll. This is a legal play. I mean, this is totally legal based on how it was ran, how the substitution was executed. So Daniel, Corey, somebody jump in. Why are you seeing this as legal as opposed to what would be an unfair act? It's not illegal substitution. There's no chance it's illegal substitution, because they didn't just basically rush to the line and hurry up and snap it. So that's where that rule would be violated for illegal substitution. If they did this before we had a chance to hold them up, that doesn't happen. There's plenty of time here. But what's the distinction between unfair act versus this being legal?
Well, I'm not 100% sold that it's legal, so I don't know if I'm the right.
Okay. All right, it's all good. So. Let's circle back to you. Good. We're not afraid to disagree here.
Absolutely.
Daniel, what's your take?
Well, so just from the technical rule perspective, what we need a substitute to do for this to be legal, and I mean, it gets a little bit gray when you start talking about using the substitution process to deceive, but our standard expectation is that if the substitute comes inside the numbers, that then he's established himself legally to participate in the next down. So from my perspective, he comes inside the numbers, and it's really not even necessarily a deceptive thing where he kind of hangs out. He's in a crowd of guys well inside the numbers, getting close to the hash, and then decides that he needs to go break off. And that's where I'm at. I don't know if I'm missing anything from a rules perspective, but those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I'll piggyback. So, what would make this more of a deception play is if we use the numbers. That's really for formations, but, it's kind of one and the same. What would be more of a deception play is if he never really gets inside the numbers and basically hides out, which he doesn't. He gets inside the numbers. He's clearly with his team, and then he just kind of makes his way out to a normal wide receiver position. So that, to me, based on my interpretation, what we've kind of discussed in the past, does not trip our unfair acts rule, Corey. So that's where I'm at. But I'd like to hear your perspective on why maybe you are leaning towards an unfair act here.
All right, this is my take on this. So there's a couple things that would go into my head here, and I'm pretty lenient when it comes to UNS, and I think you all know that from working with me. Yeah, Daniel's correct. Like, he gets inside the 9, so he is a legal player at that point, right? My problem with this is that when we have a trick play, we want to be as strict as possible in terms of rules. And so when you look at how this receiver comes out, is the substitution process completed? I would argue that it's not. You still have like 4 or 5 players milling right around the numbers or below, getting off the sideline. And he's kind of going off at that same pace as those guys, and then he just kind of bubbles out into his position. So what I've been taught over the years, and this could be some antiquated thinking, and I'm okay to admit that if that's the case, that if there's any doubt that he was pretending to be part of one of those guys going off the field, one of those players going off the field, that no, we're not going to let that happen. We're not going to have a cheap score given out on that, and that's kind of where I landed on this one. So I can, obviously I'm in the minority concerning with the polls, but there's a fair amount of the universe out there that feels that way, and
So Corey, it's exactly what you said. I'll piggyback off what you said too, because I think you're 100% right. But we have mechanics to deal with exactly what you said. These players lingering around, we've got to enact our iron cross mechanic, our substitute mechanic. And what does that tell the defense they have the opportunity to do?
100%. And that's exactly, that's a great point, that we do have that iron cross mechanic. In this play particularly, did we let that go too soon,
or even do it,
or did we do
it at all? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're 100% correct. I mean, hopefully if we process and do our Iron Cross mechanics correctly, these types of plays should go away.
So I'll tell you my perspective, and then I'll go back to Roscoe because I'll have a question. As a referee, we want to already be in Iron Cross. The second we start to notice field goal team coming in, and to Roscoe's point, this is not the fire drill end of half scenario where they're trying to scramble to set up for a kick. That's when we don't. But this is not. So we actually do enact our substitution mechanics, and that means by rule, Team B has the opportunity to match up. So in Rule 3.5, it says, if the offense rushes to the line and snaps real quick, that's illegal substitution. That's under the illegal substitution rule, and really, it could rise to the level of UNS if they keep doing it. They've got to be warned, and we shut the play down and basically do a repeat the down or whatever. But that's not what this is. I mean, they're not rushing to the line. So I'm in Iron Cross, and I'm almost going to be looking at the defense. I don't, at this point. There's one defensive player that runs off, so that's part of the matchup process. But the other part of the matchup process is that they need the opportunity to really cover and I'll use the word in the definition, match up with their opponents. So we got to have time. The umpire needs to be over the football. The referee's arms need to be out to his side in the Iron Cross. And we're just going to give them 3 seconds, 4 or 5, whatever, a prolonged period of time, an appropriate period of time to have the opportunity to match up with their opponents, Roscoe. So I would ask this, if you see the referee that maybe, for whatever reason, we're not in Iron Cross, do you take it upon yourself to execute preventing the snap and giving the defense the opportunity, or are you strictly going off what the referee does?
I'll go off the reservation and still hold them up, just because depending on where the referee is standing, like in this case where the referee finally stands, he has the defense to his back. So he might not see the transition still happening. Yeah. And then again, we have to understand what the mechanic is of the Iron Cross. Who's looking at that? And when I say that, I'm saying the coaches are smart now. The defensive coordinator is the one looking at that Iron Cross by the referee, which is telling him that we as an officiating crew are opening up the window for him to match up in a timely manner.
Yep. And that also includes the personnel on the field. It doesn't just mean that they're bringing in, new players from the defensive sideline to match up. It could be the left cornerback going all the way across the formation to match up with the wide receiver to his right. You see what I'm saying? So that matchup means anytime the offense subs, the defense has the opportunity to match personnel. And that can be either bringing new people in off the sideline or shuffling personnel without even bringing new people in. All right. So that's how we work it. That's how we would hope to work this play based on our training. Look, if we're contradicting anybody that does think this is an unfair act, like Corey, no, I'm just kidding. I would say this: the offense did absolutely nothing wrong. They met all the requirements of a legal substitution. Unfortunately, our mechanics left a little bit on the table to really execute this play perfectly. So any other thoughts on this one?
None here.
Okay. Did I convince you, or are you still?
I would say is literally if we would have did the mechanics as what we're perceiving they should have done, I think it buys us out of everything else after this, because they get time to match up, and if they don't, well, that's what they get. They just got scored upon. So, but just because of not being or adhering to those mechanics brings a lot of questions of, okay, what just happened here? And again, if we just go through the process of what we're doing, either situationally or during the game, it's going to put us in a lot better position to succeed.
I think Roscoe really just hits the nail on the head. We've said this often, when we have mechanical breakdowns, that's when bad things happen. And we're just not super mechanic. And we've all been there. Not super mechanically strong here as a crew. And it puts us it opens us up to, to doubt and uncertainty. So I think the mechanical aspect is really the point of it. I think from a rules perspective, we had the rule reference in here about the substitute and the 9-yard marks, but just to Corey's point, that part about using the substitution process to deceive, I mean, there's some subjectivity there. Again, I'm with the majority. I like this as a legal play, but I can certainly listen to that argument. So good play. Wow, this was awesome. We've got a question from TS Alon. I don't know who this guy is. He's asking if is it reviewable for the 12th player on the field?
Is that a real question, or is that just?
I mean, that's a real question. I don't
really.
Yeah, I don't know who T. Salem is.
Salem, Massachusetts.
I think it's TS. Actually, I think he just missed his place.
He says TS Alum. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe he's had a couple of too many Mai Tais.
Could be.
Yes.
Yeah, we can review that.
We had also another question from a legitimate Universe member. Casey asked, do we feel the expanded sidelines makes it more of a deceptive act than if we,
that's a great question.
5 yards. And I think it definitely plays into it because we have players where we're not used to having them. And so, in a play like this prior to this season, they'd be going more at an angle to get to their sideline versus, right where they're at. So I think it definitely plays into it.
All the reason more to execute our substitution mechanics that
Amen.
are really a national mechanic. It's not like, those Big 12 guys or Pac-12 guys or ACC. No, I mean, we're all pretty much doing this the same now. I mean, obviously, there's going to be very subtle variations based on styles of play, but this is a national mechanic, and Roscoe nailed it in terms of when we don't do it. Every other time the offense subs, we do. All right, cool. So if you thought that was crazy, let's keep rolling on crazy plays. All it takes, Roscoe, I've noticed, is special teams to get things going crazy. You know what I mean, man?
If anything crazy is going to happen, it's going to be on special teams.
Yeah. Okay, really watch this play carefully. Okay, so we're punt formation. The ball is kicked, and it rolls downfield. Kicking team does a really nice job of picking up the ball. Look at the pull. It's 4th and 2. So you saw where it was 4th and 2. What is the result of the play at the end of the down? Okay, so option 1, Team A's ball at the spot of the recovery. Option 2, Team B's ball at the spot of the recovery. Option 3, the ball was dead when it was kicked. Oh no, I'm confused. I think that was a placeholder. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I wasn't supposed to leave that in because I think I was confusing myself right in the poll. So, my bad. So, what's the result of the
play? Could be a viable option, though. I'm confused too, looking at the play. So.
Corey, I was an actor once in my previous life.
Yeah, I could. I mean, I saw the trophies you had in the blue room there.
Yeah. Yep, all Golden Globes. So, what Team A's ball at the spot of the recovery? This again, we're just driving to the result of the play, right? Is there a foul? Talk about that, but just the result of the play. We talk about this so often, ruling on the field, result of the play, because foul, no foul. Well, especially if you have a foul, you always have to have a result of the play. Would you agree with that, Roscoe?
Yes, sir. We always have to have a ball on the ground.
Always have to have a ball on the ground. Is it Team A's ball at the spot of the recovery? Is it Team B's ball? Or was the ball dead when it was kicked? We are getting some votes on I'm confused. And now I'm confused.
It looks cold. I know that.
Yeah. It won't really warm up in the northern part of the United States. It was 80. We've watched tennis all weekend. It was 80 degrees, and then so we all got sunburned, and now it's back like 40 and rain. That kind of sucks. Probably like the Hawaii weather. All right, Daniel, poll results. What are you seeing?
Okay, so this is really interesting. We're sprayed a little bit across 3 of the options. Only 2% of the community is confused, and I'm fairly certain I know who that is. But the answer with the most votes is that Team B's ball at the spot of the recovery. That's at 38, and then the ball is dead when it's kicked. And then we've got the next group is Team A's ball at the spot of the recovery.
Okay, all right. So here's
this is
the thing.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Let me just go right to the rules references. We don't always put up rules references, but sometimes you got to put up rule references for crazy stuff like this. Yeah. So, that was the previous play, but we already knew those anyways. So there's these weird things in the rules. I don't know if you guys have gone deep into this or not. This play made me go deep into it. There's, illegal kicks, and there's illegally kicking the ball. Have you guys ever thought much about this?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, well, then you guys can tell me what's the distinction here.
Go ahead, Corey.
Well, an illegal kick is is a kick that would otherwise be legal except for certain situations. So,
okay.
Being beyond the line of scrimmage, the infamous return kick, which I have yet to see ever at any level of football. That is a kick that meets the requirements of a legal, punt, a legal drop kick, but the situation or the area of the field makes it illegal. Illegally kicking a ball is a ball that's sitting on the ground and you go up and kick it. I equate it to batting. It's batting with your foot.
So the ball's loose.
The ball is loose to be illegally kicking, yes.
Okay, so this then, if I'm understanding you correctly, and I go back to the poll results, so this is illegally kicking the ball under Rule 9.
Correct. That's how I see it, yes.
All right, so so those of us that said 35%, the ball was dead when it was kicked, you think maybe we were confusing it for an illegal kick?
Yep, absolutely.
100%.
Okay. Perfect. So we just got better. I mean, 35% of us, but now we know the rule. And you were confused. No, I'm still confused. I'm trying to work through this. Okay, now 38% said it's Team B's ball at the spot of the recovery, and 23% said it's Team A's ball at the spot of the recovery. So I don't know if we need the rule reference. I'll put the video back up. What kind of play is this? What kind of play are we looking at here?
It's a loose ball play.
So
status of the ball is what?
Status of the ball is a backward pass.
Yes.
And so, I think what I'd like to give the benefit of the doubt that I think people were jumping ahead to what they thought the outcome of the entire enforcement may be.
Okay.
But which I get that, especially on video. But this is a live ball. It's just like it's a second down fumble that gets kicked.
So when we say, or a fourth down, when we say, though it's not a fourth down fumble because it's a backward pass. When we say result of the play, we literally mean what is the result of the play before considering fouls. And you really want to get in the habit of doing this when you do things like rules tests, when you, by the way, enforce penalties on the field. You first want to consider the result of the play. If we just automatically jump to what we think is the proper enforcement, which I agree, Corey, maybe, I think, what was it, 38% perhaps we're saying, Team B is going to get the ball after the penalty. Just be careful. And not that you're wrong, but just be careful with that process because it can lead you down the wrong track. So the result of this play is the 2% who said I'm confused nailed it.
Yep.
They nailed it. The ball was never actually dead by rule. It's not a fumble. It's a backward pass. There's a foul for an illegal kick or illegally kicking the ball. I want to be careful of my verbiage. Now, you can say that everybody stopped playing, so we're going to kill it. Sure, they're giving themselves up. But, this down never actually ended by rule other than we killing the play. I would say, I wouldn't use the word inadvertently, but really we killed the play erroneously because this is a live ball that gets picked up by a player. The status of the ball is a backward pass. He could run here. He could run, and by rule, that would be legal. Now, of course, we're killing the play from all officials. angles. So that's an issue, obviously. But, Daniel, you had something to add there?
No, I don't think so. I think I had something to add, and then you said it, so we're good.
Oh, my bad. Okay.
No,
So I'm confused too. I tried to be funny with that. I'll work on this. We need the comedy writer. Poll writer's doing a better job this week. Comedy writer? We need maybe. That's all right. So we should be confused here because there's really no end to this down. Now, if we're going to say that this is where the ball became dead, let's say we're just considering 44 to be giving himself up, then really the result of the play is it's whose ball? Team A's.
Team A's ball.
This is Team A's ball. It's a backward pass, live, illegally kicked.
Ball.
Yeah, it's just a loose ball. It's just a loose ball. So this isn't a scrimmage kick where when they, legally punt the ball, then they're giving their right up to have possession and turning the ball over, whatever. I'm not saying that, right? I'm not even trying. This is not that. This is no different than, like Corey said, a fumble on second down that goes forward and, we got all this. This isn't a fumble because the punter never gained possession of the snap. So it's just a snap that's a loose ball. It's illegally kicked. Now, we have – obviously this is a foul. I mean, is there anybody that doesn't think this is a foul?
Okay. No, we're on the same page this one, Brandon.
Okay, it's a foul. I was just trying to wonder, Corey. No, we're all good. It's a foul. So now penalty enforcement. This is where the 38% were going, right? The 38% were saying, well, I'm going to enforce the penalty. The result of all of this is going to be what? Roscoe, what do you got for this from a penalty enforcement standpoint?
We're going to go half the distance from the spot of the foul. The foul also includes a loss of down, so we'll turn it over to the defense.
Very nice.
Yeah, very nice. So it's fourth down, loss of down. Yeah. That creates a turnover on downs, first down defense, and that's how this works. So, tricky poll question maybe, but just remember, result of the play, get to that first before we start enforcing penalties. And your odds of ace in the rules test is going to go up if that matters to you. But what's more importantly is we're going to get correct and accurate options to the offended team almost always if we get to the accurate result of the play. And I know it doesn't really matter here because we got spot of the foul. We're going back. Team B, no brainer except loss of down. Okay. But always strive to the result of the play first. Any questions?
Well, let's just take a quick second and tell us how we end up at the spot of the foul and why that's our enforcement spot.
Yeah, and we talked about that last week a little bit. We went into 3-1, and then the blocking fouls and all those kinds of things that actually have previous spot enforcement. This isn't one of them. This is an illegal. Right. This is illegally kicking the ball. This is not an illegal kick, like Corey said. An illegal kick is a kick that would otherwise be legal. It's just that it's in the wrong part of the field. This is illegally kicking a loose ball. So this goes by strict 3-1 protocol. So what's the basic spot? It's previous spot. Where's the spot of the foul? Behind. It's behind. The foul is by the offense. So that's our one as part of the 3-1. We enforce that penalty from the spot of the foul, and that's
so.
We do that.
Yeah, perfect. So to answer your question, Roman, no, it's not a spot of the foul. It's a 3-1 enforcement that puts us with the enforcement spot being at the spot of the foul. And then just, Michael makes a great point in the chat about downfield officials, because the first thing I thought was, golly, I hope that I know as a back judge how this ball got downfield, because remember, mechanically, we're going to stay with the punter until the foot comes off of his ball. It's kind of weird when he muffs the snap, and then there's a lot of stuff going on. Man, just one of those really hard. I'm sitting back here thinking like, man, if I'm back there, am I going to see what happened? Am I going to see that he just kicks this ball off the ground?
Yeah.
And, just one of the ones you want to be patient with. So.
Yeah, I think it's a classic case of just going a little bit slower to make sure we know all of our officials know what happened, because we might have to piece it together, because a lot of times during the game we have an apparent kick. So do we have a legal scrimmage kick that goes beyond the neutral zone, and where does the foul take place? Because now we could be thinking, we can tack this on. But again, we need to know everything that happened during this play. and I don't think there's one person that's going to have everything put together. So that's why everybody has to just take a bit slower just to find out what actually transpired.
That's a great point. Great point. Corey, what's a drop kick?
A drop kick is when you let go of the ball and kick it as it touches the ground. So the kick and the touching of the ball to the ground have to happen simultaneously. You cannot have an element of time where the ball hits and then you kick.
Love it. So not a drop kick because the ball is resting on the ground after we kick it.
Correct.
Yeah, and don't you have to have – you first have to have – did you already say this? You have to have possession.
Yeah, you have to have possession.
Yeah, you got to have possession. That's right.
You got to possess the ball first. This is a muff.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, very interesting. Really, really, we can almost spend a whole other 20 minutes or whatever going into tricks to be aware, that and what we would do mechanically to kill this play, not kill this play. We've actually got a play that basically we'll talk about that again. Very interesting play, unique rules. We just got to know the rules, and please drive to the result of the play before we go enforcing penalties.
Hey, so sorry. I know you're ready to go on, but to ask a really good question, Brandon, why doesn't fourth down fumble rule work here?
Yeah, there's no fumble on the play. There's really no fumble. So fumble happens after fumble is a loss of possession of the ball by a runner, and that never happens here.
No, but I think that's a good question.
Very good question. Because then,
he redeemed himself from the first play.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go into it. Either way. Man, great start tonight.
Okay, Roscoe. We've been basically talking for a couple weeks now, more than that, a couple months, several months, about the RPO scheme, and I think we're all seeing it across all conferences. So just watch the right tackle here, and I can put this in a screen share and slow it down if needed. But I just want to get the umpire's perspective. This has got to be really tough. Watch the right tackle fires out, gets a linebacker, and the ball's thrown right over the top. So just here's what I've been hearing now as we're having conversations about rules and starting preparations for next year. There's a lot of talk about making the threshold 3 yards period for even like this kind of play. There's talk about being more strict with this kind of play because it's a huge advantage to the offense going out, blocking second level, occupying the linebacker as the ball zips right over the top of them into that vacated space. I don't know if you want to give your opinion on all that, but talk more. Are you guys seeing a lot of this same kind of stuff? And what have you done just in your own practice to maybe either improve your recognition or coach others or whatever? Take it away.
Well, first, I don't mean to go off the rails, but I'm going to give you my philosophy on IDP. So I know that the mechanics book has put the onus or the primary on the offside wing, but I also know that, the wing officials have a lot of stuff going on. So in my own personal philosophy, I'm still going to work hard to try to get that foul. I'm not going to just say, well, if it happens, I'm not primary, so I'm not going to get dinged, because my own ideal of it is I want to do what's best for the crew. So with that being said, I'm going to try to work hard, get in the best possible position to see those guys when they come down the field. Now, when it's a tweener and I'm like, ooh, he's 3 to 4 yards, I'm probably going to let that go just because these athletes are so good that, again, it's when the quarterback or when the passer releases the ball, they can cover a lot of ground. So, again, if there's any ambiguity there, I'm going to let it lie. But literally, if the linemen come all the way down, especially I like to line up around 7 yards. So if he's standing by me and the ball's released, I know he's downfield. I'm going to still try to work hard and get that as far as we're getting it right as a crew.
Awesome. Have you guys gone all the way to we've been ridiculed a little bit for trying to expand our minds, I think, too much, quite frankly. But have you guys gone all the way to considering OPI actions on linemen blocking at the second level like this? Or
we've had discussion. we've had discussions about it, but I think it really happens like when you have that like little tight end pop pass, which is, 4 to 6 yards, and it's especially right over the middle, but you have a tackle that comes out and let's say blocks the linebacker, but literally the pass is caught like 2 yards from him. I think you can make a case that, that could be OPI. Now, I guess lucky enough or not lucky enough, it hasn't happened in a game that I've worked. But yeah, I think there's a definite advantage with that. And again, all the offensive coaches, they like the rule in here, and all the defensive doesn't like the rule. And it's just, it's nice if it was clear and cut, like, hey, you get a yard, that's it. Like, but it is what it is.
So what I'm attempting to put up here is just for discussion. I know that we're a long ways from this nationally because of some conversations I've been a part of, but that's, neither here nor there. So, but we're gonna basically all try to work at this to be consistent.
Let's go for it
and call this the way that we can make this call consistently. For argument's sake, it's clearly not IDP, right? It's clearly not IDP. You got to be beyond, in this case, the white arrow that I've imposed on the game here on the screen. You've got to be beyond that, and he's not even close. I mean, shoot, he's basically at 1.5. So that's how deceiving these can look. But by rule, if a lineman who doesn't block somebody who lines up on the line of scrimmage, a lineman, that doesn't mean it's an interior lineman. It's any lineman. If a lineman who doesn't block somebody who lines up on the line of scrimmage goes out and makes contact beyond 1 yard with the ball thrown in that area, by very technical rule, I mean, there's really no doubt about it, it's considered OPI. So we're struggling here because almost every single team that we work is running this type of scheme, Roscoe. And so we're really trying to think about ways that as we zip this ball right over this block into this area where, I mean, gosh, could this linebacker have jumped up and deflected the pass? Could he at least obstruct the vision of the receiver? Well, obviously not here. Not only is he getting blocked, he's almost getting held with the hands outside the frame, really kind of grabbing and almost twisting the shoulders. Not saying I want it called, but it's a suspect blocking technique. So not IDP, Roscoe, but any other thoughts just on the blocking in the area by this lineman? It's not like he drived a defender off the ball and now he does have all the way up to the white line. That's by rule. He goes out and gets this player at the second level, creating a vacated area to throw the ball in. And, again, we're all trying to recognize this more and get more consistent, but just any other final thoughts on this scheme and how we want to work?
Again, I think it's all about communication, especially talking to that lineman after, like, say nothing is called here. I mean, after the play, going and telling that tackle, hey, man, you got to keep that closer to the line of scrimmage. And I hate to change the play, but let's say number 88 is more so on the 35 and more so closer to that action. I mean, I personally think it is OPI because these are great athletes, and obviously he's being restricted if we just change it a little, and it's right there, and he is being prevented to making a play on the ball. Yeah. I hear you. And so then what is considered, a close enough proximity? See, this is great. And this is what we have to develop on this scheme so that everybody's on the same page and not just officials. I mean, defense is on the same page, offense is on the same page, all across the country, conferences. I mean, it's going to be hard enough to get the officials on the same page with recognizing this because it's so challenging. Can you imagine trying to get 128 and then plus all the other divisions? I mean, it's just crazy. But hey, that's awesome. If I get the green light, if I get to throw OPI.
Maybe we're the only 4 people in the world that advocated at this point. But we've watched so much video of this stuff and recognize this in our games. It's just such a huge advantage. And so, we'll find out. I think there's going to be considerable conversation. And so it's kind of one of those things to be continued, but it's really good to keep looking at this stuff and having these discussions. Daniel or Corey, anything to add on this stuff?
No, I mean, this is obviously something we've touched on the past few weeks, and you're right. We're carrying a flag that I think we're trying to get some put some attention to because I think that we do take a player out of the game, player out of this play, this defender, and it's exactly designed to do that. And this RPO that we're seeing more and more at every level of college football, if we start to allow this more and more, I think it's a slippery slope that we start running down.
Yeah.
We've got it's getting very slippery, Corey. We've got a question here about the linebacker jumping on the run fake, and I think that's a great question that we need to explore a little bit, because that's a part of it, and that's what the RPO is designed to do. So if all we have here, in my opinion, is a great play action that sucks the linebacker up, and that lineman stays at 1 yard, then the linebacker's put himself in position, but he's not reading just the ball fake. He's reading the lineman who comes out to meet him. And this is close to, we talked about meeting at the line of scrimmage. It's probably 1.5 yards, right? His feet are behind 1 yard from the line of scrimmage. His hands are past it. Probably the contact is closer to 2 yards. But if the linebacker sees a ball fake and then a tackle coming out to meet him, his job is to come up and run fit. That's what he's supposed to do. And so now if we allow him to be blocked and throw the ball behind him, and I'm on board with all of the comments that have made so far. I think this is really tight. I think if 83 stems across the formation, that it becomes very almost a clear and obvious OPI. But we're really disadvantaging the defense if we're going to allow the ball fake and then a lineman to go out and meet him at 2 yards and drive him another yard. Man, we're just making this play almost impossible to defend. And then the other thing I would say, just from a mechanics perspective, because I probably spent too much time thinking about this kind of play. I probably need to stop, if I'm being honest. But from a back judge perspective, and I know I looked at the attendings. We've got a few other back judges in here, so I'm curious to what you guys were thinking. We've got a lot of space between the number 2 receiver to the bottom of the formation, who is our initial key, and his defender. So personally, for me, I would start this play looking through my tackle, so I have a sense of what kind of play it's going to be. When he comes downfield, I'm going to feel a little run, but in my peripheral, I'm going to feel my receiver coming attacking my defender in kind of a pass route posture, and adjust my vision there. So what I'm trying to say is, I think as a back judge, I don't know where the awareness is going to be able to make a call like this, if indeed it rises to the level of a foul. But I want to have an awareness of both of these elements. And I think this is one of these plays as a back judge where, again, if he kind of drags across the formation, I think I would have all the information. I think I would have a great sense for what the tackle does, and a really great sense for where the ball was caught and when it was caught in relationship to when the ball was released. So I don't know what the point there is, other than to say, for back judges, I think this is just something, I don't know, maybe don't get obsessed with it like I am a little bit right now, but it's something for us to think about, because it's really hard. It's hard for umpires. It's hard for line of scrimmage. This is a dang hard play to officiate. So I think just for deep guys, I'm sure there's circumstances for deep wings to be involved as well, that we haven't looked at yet, but just having an awareness of where we can get involved.
Yeah, I think it's really well said. Just continuing. I feel like we're all in brainstorming mode on this. And,
right. It feels like that.
Yeah. And just exchange of ideas, which is what this platform is all about. And I know there's hundreds of others.
I just think it'd be nice for us to be proactive instead of waiting for this to get to a grander scale and then be reactive, but that's easier said than done.
Right. Where they come and tell us, Corey, guys, we got to get this under control.
Right. Yeah. Where were you? Yeah.
Yeah. And just to clear up the rule, just to make sure everybody's on the same page, what the lineman can do, talk about the center right here. I think that arrow is showing up. So talk about the center. The center can drive this nose guard all the way to 3 and be fine. Doesn't matter if the ball's thrown right off his backside, right? The center can literally drive the nose guard all the way to 3. The rule changes when linemen, and this guy's a lineman, by the way. By definition, that guy's a lineman. But also, obviously, this guy's a lineman. The rule changes when we go out and block players who are not lined up on the defensive line of scrimmage. So we're really talking about the yellow example and really not the white arrow example. Just want to make sure everybody's clear because we are seeing a lot of confusion. We're confusing ourselves at times, but I think we're pretty clear on where we're at on this. Maybe
you bring up a good point. You bring a good point up though, Brandon, with that mechanically. Like this it'd be easy to see the end of the play and see the center driving that nose tackle back and throw for OPI. Well, that wouldn't be correct under the rules. Correct.
And the other thing is we don't want to confuse OPI restrictions with IDP restrictions. So what do I mean by OPI restrictions? OPI restrictions start at the snap. You can't block downfield. You can't impede the defender's ability to make a play on a catchable pass, all that good stuff. That starts at the snap, and it ends when the pass is touched beyond the neutral zone. So it's got to be a catchable pass. You could the linebacker here catch this pass? I mean, maybe not here, but I don't care about that. I mean, as the ball goes right here, and I know it's maybe hard to see across the internet, the ball is right here. The shadow of the ball is right here. Orange is right here getting his shoulders grabbed. So could he have made a play on this football? I think we'd all agree. I don't know, Daniel. You've seen this 1,000,000 times over the middle. Do you think he could have made a play on the ball?
Yeah, without question.
I think so too.
Potential.
So it seems like all elements for OPI are here. We just all got to get on the same page, like I've said 1,000,000 times. And Roscoe, thank you for your thoughts on that. That's what exactly we wanted, is somebody who's actually been in the trenches on this.
So the question was, if it's a clear and obvious, we want this foul, who's going to call it? And I think that's what we're all talking about.
Exactly.
I think as a back judge, I certainly would like to have an awareness on this. And again, like just looking at this play in particular, not stretching that out universally. I think the umpire too, I think the short wing's going to have a tougher job with that ball fake if he gets sucked up in there in the middle. It's tough.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, obviously with umpire in the backfield, we'd have to rely more on our line of scrimmage people. Watching their tackles go second level if they can afford to do so. I mean, we've got our line of scrimmage mechanics so tied up in so many different things.
Yeah, for sure.
But we should really, I think, we being a global term, Daniel, I think the mechanics of how we're working the game today should be reviewed a little more and almost adjusted based on situations. Because obviously, if it's 4th and 20. RPO, no. I mean, okay, now we don't need to worry about too much about RPO.
Right.
2nd and 10 is like RPO time. I mean, this is
right.
2nd and 10. Now, when are you're going to see the RPO. I mean, 2nd and short, 3rd and short, 1st and 10, anytime on first down, basically. It's so I don't know. It's really interesting. I think we've got a lot of opportunity, which is great to be involved, in this profession at this time. Real quick, Roscoe, I'll get your opinion on something here. Let's get a poll out there first. Wake everybody else up. So you're going to see the play FCS quarterfinals. Congratulations to everybody. Watching games, just really solid. I mean, really solid officiating all around the country. So congratulations to all who are involved. Okay, check this out. Poll is up. 3rd and 14. There's 13 seconds to go in the second quarter when the ball is snapped. All right, so obviously there's less when the play is over. A Team B player's helmet came off during the down. We'll talk about foul, no foul later, so don't get caught up in that. But there's no foul called, okay? So just go with us. There's no foul called here. What are Team A's clock options? Poll is up. Option 1 is there's no option. The clock will start on the snap. Option 2 is they don't have an option. The clock will start on the ready. Option 3, Team A must decline the 10-second runoff for the clock to start on the snap. All right. And then option 4 is give Team A the option of the snap or the ready for play. And again, we'll get into – I'm really interested to learn about, Roscoe, your recognition of hands to the face and the different techniques you use. So we'll have a little bit of a clock discussion first, and then we'll go into your process for hands to the face next. Poll results are coming in. Is hands to the face, like, Roscoe, your least favorite foul category, or is that just me?
No, I mean, For me, I think it's just the recognition because you got to see everything, and as long as you know what your parameters are, I think it's easier. Now, obviously, sometimes as we can get into discussion, it's like recognizing what's being presented to you, because sometimes it can be deceiving.
Yeah, good point. So we'll get in. I'm interested to really dive into your tricks here in a second after we basically take care of this clock status. I can just sense down there in Westminster, Colorado, Luxner is like he's just ready to pounce on this clock thing. Am I right?
You know it.
Yeah. I'll tell you when you work a game, and really Tutau was the same way, only just more annoying, if you can believe that. But when you work a game with these guys and how good they are on the clock, it is like it's just so refreshing. It's just one less thing to worry about. You know they've always got the clock. Daniel, you know what I'm talking about.
I do, absolutely.
Poll results are evening out. And speaking of evening out, Daniel, 42% said Team A must decline the 10-second runoff for the clock to start on the snap. 37% said there's no option. The clock will start on the ready for play. So that's polar opposite. I mean, we're on polar opposite ends there, if I'm not mistaken. You know, because a large majority of what would that be? Whatever the word would be.
Plurality.
Most of the people.
Okay. We're like divided. Exactly. Like, part of us is going to give Team A the option to decline a 10-second runoff to get it on the snap. And then the other part of us are saying, no, I don't care what you want. You're on the ready.
Wind it up.
So Corey, what the heck? We gotta figure this out because we got a little work to do here, which is good.
All right.
It's a good opportunity.
So before we get to the clock, the steps. Maybe you're already gonna say that, Corey. I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead, buddy.
That's all right. We have to figure out. Let's start at the beginning. What are the things that can cause the clock to stop? And so in this play, we have a catch for an apparent first down. It was 3rd and 14. I think they get something near 30 yards on this play. So that's one reason that it could stop the clock. We also have a player with his helmet off that could stop the clock. So then we go to Rule 3. I don't know deeper than that, just as Rule 3. When you talk about runoffs, it's particularly with the helmet, it states in there something to the effect that if the helmet is the only reason that the clock is stopped, then we have runoff potential. Well, in this particular play, that is not the only one because we're also stopping the clock for a first down. So in that case, if we're talking about process, not just how do we get to the answer, and think about these things. And sometimes it's harder than it looks when you're in the action on the field. But just know that, okay, these are my clock situations. And for all of you deep officials out there, if you're not laser, just nails on the clock, work at it because, like Brandon says, our referees are counting on us to be that person on the crew to say, hey, no, we're on the snap, no, we're on the ready, and be ready to say why, and and when you get to the whys, you need to know the processes of this. So with this one, I would have it on the ready.
Yep. So we don't even get to 10-second runoff is what you're saying.
Correct.
We don't even get into that option because, as you already stated, the helmet off has to be the only reason to stop the clock. Daniel, what were you going to add process-wise?
No, that's what I was just going to say is the first question is this 10-second runoff eligible or not? And then once we move forward, once we answer that question, now then the other pieces start falling into place. But I don't know that that's necessarily the way it has to go. That's just the way my brain works.
Yep. So,
but it's looking at it's coming at it from a different direction. Is it 10-second eligible? Well, no, it's not because it's not the only reason that we stop the clock. So I think that's a great way to come back, just coming at it from a different avenue.
Yeah.
Yep. So Roscoe, we'll get to the hands of the face here in a sec. Just one thing I'm thinking, referee working this play is, a lot of times these players now, everybody's used to the rule, the helmet off rule. Pick their helmet off, pick their helmet up, run off the field. I mean, if I'm honest, there's times we don't even really acknowledge it. It just is like a line change in hockey almost. You see, Corey, what I'm saying?
Yep.
We don't want to do that here. I mean, we do not want to do that here. Get the thing shut down completely. Get the player off, get the player on, communicate to the quarterback the status of the clock. Look, I'm sorry that, Mr. Defense, that your helmet came off. Was it a foul? We're going to talk about that next, but we didn't call one. So we're just administering this thing the way it's called. No foul. Sorry, your helmet came off. Get a tighter helmet or something. I don't know. I'm not going to say that, but we are going to be very deliberate here. Let the quarterback know the clock is going to start on my whistle. Then we'll get everybody lined up, right? We'll get this administrative stoppage. So we're blowing the play back in when the ball's ready. Point the umpire or center judge off, whatever mechanics we're working. Blow the whistle. And now wind the clock. And I mean, we're just going to be so deliberate with this and over communicate to the quarterback how we're going to manage this game. Okay. So anything else to add, Corey, on that topic before we go to hands to the face?
No, I don't have anything else. I think we've covered it pretty good.
Okay, awesome. So Roscoe, I'll put this up so we can kind of just look at it, still frame or whatever. But talk about what have you done over your career to maybe you nailed hands to the face from day one. I don't know. I struggle with it personally, but do you categorize the foul any certain type of way? Do you have any tricks, recognition tips that you can give me, please?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to recognize what constitutes hands to the face. And for me personally, it's two options. And one is if it's an overt act, and I mean like a blast to the face, open hand that just jacks him in the face, pins him back or hits him back. And then the second is a prolonged pin back because what that does is basically neutralize the block. So when you can observe those actions and put it in those categories, I believe you have the foul for hands to the face. Now, where it gets tricky is sometimes where either the defender or the offensive player will have right at the neckline and they're pushing against the opponent. And so it appears as his head is pinned back, but his hand is at the neckline and he's just trying to push against him. So again, as an umpire, you got to fight to get those angles to see what's actually happening. We don't want to throw a phantom foul. So again, trying to work and get in the best possible position to, again, put it in one of those categories, whether it's an overt act, and that usually happens pretty quick, or if it's a prolonged pin back, which we can, readily see, and then we can obviously put it in that category, and then we can have a flag down for hands to the face.
Cool. So I'm hearing categories kind of develop themselves into the way you talk, which I work best when there's categories of plays. I call it we recognize patterns that fit neatly into categories. Of course, that's not always true, but a lot of times as we watch video and observe rep after rep, play after play, we can start to detect those patterns. So let's just talk about this play. I don't really care if you think it's a foul or not. I don't really care if it is a foul or not. Obviously his helmet comes off. But, I mean, do you see anything prolonged? Let's start with that. Do you see anything prolonged about the action by the left tackle?
The left tackle or the right tackle?
I'm sorry, the right tackle. It's left on our screen.
Okay.
Right tackle as to the offense perspective. Thank you.
Right. I do not see that that's prolonged. Okay. I think because in real speed, when you see it, yes, his hand comes up and it could rake it. But as you mentioned earlier, hey, maybe the defender doesn't have his helmet on tight enough. And sometimes, crap happens and the helmet came off. I think, if he was to come up and he pins his head all the way back and, those are pretty much easy because when you see it, you notice it. When he just pins that head back and there's nothing he can do. And conversely, if he was to come back and just basically, blast him in the head, that's going to stick out like a sore thumb. But
let's go to that next. Do you see that from the left hand of the right tackle?
I do not, especially when we watch it in full speed.
Perfect. I agree. Slow motion can distort it, but we're just trying to see detail, so that's a great point. Okay, what about, I guess the other one, there you could have a subtle yet significant grab of like a helmet opening, really more along the lines of face mask, either it's a helmet opening or really the actual face mask. I mean, have you considered that into your process much?
It does, but I see more of that on the interior. So when as an umpire on the defensive side of the formation, and I'm looking at the guards and the defensive tackles and or the linebackers coming in, that's right in front of me. And then as I'm working to get in better position, sometimes you do see that where they'll actually grab the bottom of the face mask. So at once it looks like a hands to the face, but then he pulls them down. So you technically have a face mask.
Yes. And then the other, I wasn't even thinking about that one, but I totally agree with you. The other one I'm thinking of is get their hands up and there's really no pin. There's really no blunt, what would I say? Overt, blow, but they do kind of grasp and control. And then eventually that neutralizes the defense. If you grasp and control the face mask, I mean, that really neutralizes the defense. And you really don't have to twist it, but that gets more into the prolonged category of grasping, controlling the face mask, neutralizing the head. Any thoughts on that one? That one's rare, but any thoughts on that one?
Right. And I think that it usually happens, like say you have a stunting defensive tackle and now the guard comes up and he does that. Now the defensive tackle's body is going in one way and you'll see his head jerk. That's an unnatural body movement. Yeah. And again, trying to fight and get in the best possible position, when you notice that, hey, this guy's stunting, he's going across his body, and now the offensive player grabs him up top. Now you might not see his hands inside the face mask until the actual turn. So again, to your point with the prolonged contact, you will see that occasionally.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm reading between the lines, and I said I don't care, is it or isn't it, but we can't help ourselves. I'm reading between the lines that you see this as more of just an incidental rake and nothing that rises to the level of a foul.
In my opinion, that's exactly what I think.
And that's why you would, if you're on the game, they trust your opinion. All right, cool. Any questions coming through that we should address on this play?
We did have a request that to have Roscoe type out his categories into the chat.
Roscoe, if you're comfortable doing that, that's great. Otherwise, we can follow up and put it in the Pure Officiating portal where all the replays are stored, those kinds of things.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to type them up, that'd be awesome. But we might need your focus on the next play. You know how we work play to play, right? I mean, we might need your.
Okay.
Another bad. The comedy writer is off tonight.
So bad. Pretty much weak.
Nobody asked you. Where are we going next? I lost my train of thought. This has been a fun session.
Whoa!
Okay, what are we doing next? This is crazy. We've had a lot of these plays. It's like, why? Like, Daniel, think about it. Why do we put the same plays up, the same types of plays up over and over again? There's a really simple simple answer to that question.
Yeah. I will say that there continue to be areas we can do better on those plays.
Well, yeah, they keep happening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that too. Yeah,
I think your answer was better.
That's even easier.
I think your answer was better. Okay, ruling on the field. Ruling on the field is an incomplete forward pass. And let me just be the first to say, you guys chime in with whatever thoughts you have. I love the line judge's decisiveness and body language on this. But I don't love the timing of it. Okay? I don't quite love the timing of it. And, you guys see where I'm going with this?
Absolutely.
The line of scrimmage, and we have a lot of really solid line of scrimmage officials and everything like that. And I think you all, and I was so inspired when I worked that position, is just your decisiveness on spots and you owning your position. That's what is on display here. But I just want to make sure that when we have this type of play, that we kind of own our piece of our position, which is, it's forward. The ball's moving forward, no question about it. Did you really know that it's a pass? I mean, did you really know that it's a pass? Look at how awkward that football comes out. So this would be I'll just lay out how I would hope to work this, and then I'll get other thoughts, maybe Roscoe, even umpire. I'm not sure if you've seen stuff like this, you can chime in. But, I would hope that as a referee, I would know that it's a pass, because it is. It's actually, there's a really good angle that shows that he's intentionally moving the ball, and he's actually moving the ball forward in control with his hand intentionally forward. It is a pass, okay? So I would know that it's a pass in terms of it's not a fumble. I may not know as a referee what direction the ball went, although I think I could probably be okay on this play. But if it's even tighter, I may not know what direction the ball went, but I'm going to know it's a pass. What I really need the line of scrimmage guy to communicate, and I don't care if this plays out, whatever. I don't care if it plays out. At some point, line of scrimmage, communicate, man, that ball went forward. And it may even be me saying, hey, I had a pass. I just wasn't sure the direction. Line of scrimmage guy, oh, okay. That ball went forward. Oh, okay. Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Piece it together. I think we're at risk here. Daniel, maybe I'll go to you first. We're at risk here if we rule this a forward pass from the line of scrimmage so quickly because of how awkwardly the ball comes out of the quarterback's hand. Am I off base?
No, absolutely not. I think your first point of decisiveness was great. If the line judge is going to rule this, we certainly don't want a half whistle combined with a half incomplete signal, and then the realization that, oh crap, maybe I shouldn't have done this. So like that once we get in decision-making mode that we're confident in what we're doing. But I absolutely agree. Listen, I think we've mentioned this for us downfield. Corey, you can attest to this. It's uncomfortable when the ball's rolling on the ground and we don't know why. We just have to trust our referee, and if we're in 8-man mechanics, maybe our center judge, to have that piece of the puzzle. Because, and listen, we don't want to let this 50 run for a touchdown and everybody signal touchdown and then replay have to come and get this.
Right.
Because that's just kind of abdicating what we're there to do. That's not a great
Agree.
perception for us communicating confidence and competency to the coaches, teams, and fans. But we just have to fight that temptation as the perimeter officials and back judges and even probably sometimes umpires to wipe this out immediately, because like Brandon said, you have a piece of the information, and that is, if you're a back judge in the middle of the field, that the ball has hit the ground. That's really all you have. In this case, the line judge has the other piece that, it went forward from where it was released. But golly, if the referee is working backwards pass here, we just created a super awkward situation that we're going to have to work through. So
let me clarify, Dan. If the referee is working fumble,
there you go.
Because line of scrimmage will know the direction.
Line of scrimmage is working forward or backward. Great clarification.
Right,
Thank you.
right. Absolutely. No worries. But if the referee's working fumble, it really doesn't matter if it's forward or backward.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah. Exactly right. Because golly, when I watched this the first 5 times, I'm like, I can't tell for sure. There is that angle, and it's just this little quick pop by number 7 that's really inventive and great effort, but it's not one of those very clear and obvious forward passes. That's for sure.
Exactly. Great focus by the referee to know it's a pass. I think he looks over, fortunately, because you can tell referee spinning on this, looks over and sees line judge signaling incomplete, and then comes in and this isn't a Me Too signal because this was your call, referee. So this is just excellent presence and judgment on behalf of the referee. Line of scrimmage. I mean, you can't say anything different, but I think we just want to withhold that, or like Daniel was saying. Corey, do you have anything to add on this?
No, I mean, Daniel brought up a good point. Like when we see that deep, we have to know to swallow our whistle and just keep officiating the play and, not working line of scrimmage. I can't really, pretend that I know what I do there, but I guess we just have to encourage them to have that same type of patient whistle. We did, however, have a question on the chat from a replay standpoint, talking about if this was indeed backwards, would we have enough for an immediate recovery for replay to come in? And I would say absolutely we would, because that player number 50, I believe it was, that ended up picking up the ball, he never stops moving. And I think that's our stopping point these days for immediate continuing action. I don't know. I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think that's, and we've been talking about it a little bit. And we had a play submitted in our New Orleans camp training series. in preparations for the camp next week, and it was on that topic, and we've been talking about that is a threshold that continues to slide year after year. I mean, I think you guys would agree.
Yep.
It's like, and I don't think this one is really that debatable. 50 continues to play all the way through this, clear recovery in the immediate continuing action, and it's really become clear recovery in his immediate continuing action. You know, I think what we're going to see next year, years to come, in games with instant replay, coaches are just going to be like, ignore the whistle. Go after the loose ball. Just ignore the whistle altogether, and just everybody, every single one of you, go after the loose ball. You know, now certainly that doesn't prevent us from doing our job in the dead ball officiating relative to personal fouls and unnecessary roughness type of contact like that. But certainly they're going to be coached to play through whistles to recover loose footballs, and rightfully so. I mean, rightfully so. The rules really promote that. Anything, Roscoe, on this?
Not from what's presented. The only thing that I can relate to, especially, let's say the quarterback was throwing it through the middle of the field. Now, again, I don't rule on those passes anymore. I did as a younger official, especially when the quarterback was getting hit, the pass comes over, because I'm not focusing on the quarterback, but I can see him in the foreground. But now, you know, through video review and learning from others' mistakes, I don't know whether that's empty hand or that was a forward pass, because that's not what I'm looking at. So the ball comes over the middle, you know, hits the ground. If I wipe it off, but it was empty hand, now I essentially just killed the play. So that's all I have to add with that, because with this particular play, him going out wide, I don't have a horse in that race.
Very good. Very good. You're probably watching. Yeah. You got a couple people pushing on each other inside there. You're pretty used to that, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, good. Let's keep rolling. Now, this is just an interesting game management thing that wanted to discuss. We know that O2O communication, wireless radios, what other names do they go by? I don't know. Wireless communication devices, whatever you want to call them. We know that that's coming to most levels. Certainly, there's still some levels that don't. And sometimes I wish I was one of them, but I'll save that editorial for later. So what we're going to have here, offense breaks the huddle with 11. Weird. Offense breaks the huddle with 11. Referee, great job. Great job not just throwing an unnecessary flag as you see the player running off the field. It makes you think, gosh, was that 12? No, you had your count. You see him recounting. Excellent. We talk about process. He worked his pre-snap routine perfectly. He knew there was 11. The 11th player runs off the field. Team A calls timeout. Okay, Team A calls timeout, so we're going to obviously give them their timeout. Okay, now, I guess, Corey, I want to go to you because I feel like you're really astute in some of this stuff. Optically, with O2O communication, I don't have a problem with the referee here radioing to whoever is within a certain mile radius of this stadium and saying, hey, I had 11 in the huddle. I just want to kind of confirm that.
There's no problem with that.
But optically, do we want to we know we're on. I mean, we got to know we're on camera first of all. What are the times we're going to be on camera? Do we want to show ourselves reaching for our microphone and those kinds of things? And I'm not killing this referee because I've certainly seen myself do it. I don't know if that's the optics we want to give yet.
No, I agree, and I think in this situation, just I think referees can do a great job by turning their back to the press box and calling, if he does this announcement, if he's talking on his O2O right now when he's talking to his line of scrimmage official, that would be perfect because nobody knows that you're talking, on a radio looking for that lifeline, if you will. And, but once he steps away from that, that's all the camera looks at is, it looks like he's talking into a CIA microphone.
Yeah, you think Daniel? I mean, we've had a few discussions on this within our crews, and we had a point of emphasis a few years ago on this kind of stuff. But anything for you to add?
No, nothing unique.
Okay.
I mean, I would just say another technique. I guess I could offer a technique is exactly what Corey said, and I've done that. I don't know if you remember, Brandon, but times where I wanted input from a communicator on something, just going to another official and saying, hey, like Corey said, act like I'm talking to the other official. Give me a second here. What do you think? Is this, is the spot okay? Whatever the case is, but just kind of disguising it a little bit, trying to use some subtlety.
Yeah. And it comes to my mind. It's like, I think everybody in the world who cares about football or he cares about us, which is not very many people in the world. But I think pretty much everybody understands that we're communicating with, over wireless devices. Okay. That's it. It's not like we're we got to hide that. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's me. It's a little bit, when I see myself do this, I just say, gosh, have a little bit better awareness of your body language, and just, I always try to pair up. If I'm going to ask a question that certainly by rule I can ask and all that good stuff, I'll try to sugarcoat that, I guess. I am going to try to be, like you guys said, I'm going to double down on you. I'm going to try to be next to another official. And then for me, I usually have my back to the camera when I'm not ready to make an announcement. Anytime the referee faces up to the camera, the producer is going to tend to think that you're going to make an announcement, especially after something weird like this happens. It's kind of just weird. They break the huddle, a guy runs off. Is this going to be a foul? The team's calling timeout. So the producer of this TV broadcast is expecting us to make an announcement of some sort. And I think we eventually do here. So let's just be aware of what we're doing. But certainly this was managed very well. Again, referee counts to 11 in the huddle. They break the huddle with 11. The 11th player runs off. Clear and obvious, no foul. We get a little bit of confirmation from upstairs. That's great. Let's talk about other possible scenarios with this, Roscoe. So,
I had one quick question.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
For a nugget.
Yeah.
To let the TV audience know what's going on.
Yeah.
We know there's a timeout, but hey, the 11th player ran off prior to the timeout. The 11th player ran off the field or whatever, because it looks kind of funky.
Right.
Like you said, it looks like, hey, there's 12. How come there's not a penalty? Just to let everybody know in the stands and watching, at home, of just what's going on. Plus, it takes the announcers out of it once let them know what happened.
We talk about too, Roscoe, and I think you'll agree. We love to really communicate these rulings on the field. And this is no different. This is a ruling on the field that there was 11 players that broke the huddle, because that's actually reviewable. Illegal, these 12 players and these kinds of things are reviewable. We certainly don't want to rely on replay, but unfortunately sometimes we would have to. Here, it really is a ruling on the field that the offense broke the huddle with 11 and then called timeout. And that's really never going to be reviewed unless, in fact, they had 12. But I'm not sure we would actually put a foul on through replay. I'm not going to get into all that. But it's no different. You see what I'm saying? It's no different than announcing the ruling on the field is a fumble recovered by the defense, and then boom, that lets replay know what we're ruling. So, yeah, we're filling the gaps of announcers. So that they're not curious of what we're doing. We're also filling any type of knowledge gap of our replay crew upstairs if the game's worked with instant replay. So, Roscoe, I think that's a great point. All right. Let me ask you this now. Let's say they do break the huddle with 12 here. Let's say that guy that runs off is the 12th player. So clearly they would have broke the huddle with 12. They're running to call a timeout. Philosophy-wise, are we granting timeouts? Are we not? And let me draw a parallel while you think about it. When it's even close to the play clock expiring and the coach calls timeout, what do? We give them the timeout. I mean, we give them the timeout. What about this with breaking the huddle with 12, Roscoe? Have you guys had any discussions on this? Not to put you on the spot, but what are your thoughts on, is this any different than that delay of game philosophy to you?
I don't, because once there's an element of time in between the two. So
yeah,
if they broke with 12, they bought it. Like, now if he's saying timeout as they break the huddle, that's when the wing official has to come in and let me and the referee know, hey, he called timeout as you guys were throwing the flag, and I'm okay with, all right, we'll pick it up. But literally, if they break with 12 and then they subsequently are trying to get a timeout, I think they already bought it, but that's just my opinion.
I think I agree with you. I think it is different than the delay of game thing. I think it really is. The wrong has been – the foul has been committed. The foul has obviously been committed, and now we can see in the video he goes and tries to save it. I'm not sure I'm going to – it's a little different than having 12 in the formation for this arbitrary 3 seconds. Well, your 3 seconds is different than mine 3 seconds, plus we got substitution to potentially manage through that. breaking the huddle with 12 is a very defined period in time. Corey, are you on the same thoughts as that, or would
100%.
you disagree? Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Here's what I would say. If we're still in the process of processing that we have a foul, right? The line judge is checking, counting, making sure, however long that takes, if we get a timeout in that interim, I would be very comfortable granting that timeout because the same logic that applies to the delay game situation is that there's punitive measures for an offense in burning a timeout. Mm-hmm. But the difference, I would say, is that in the delay game situation is we'll pick that flag up 100 times out of 100, right? We'll say, well, they call timeout, and we kind of fudge it just to make it easy. And that's where I agree with you guys. I don't think we want to fudge this because there's a very clear, like Roscoe said, element of time. If we've seen it, we've processed it, we've thrown a flag, and now we're calling timeout, then yeah, I agree. They bought that. If he's able to recognize it before we do and call a timeout, personally, I would be comfortable just granting that timeout and moving on and tell a defense coach, he called timeout, before we had a flag down. Because again, there's a punitive aspect to having to burn that timeout. So I don't know, that's a little different, but not necessarily different. So just my thoughts.
I'm with you. If you have the foul, I'm not Rod Tucker's question. Oh yeah. I'm not processing Rod. If somebody else read Rod's question, and it's probably just me. Michael, so if the timeout comes before the flag comes out, timeout. Yes, that's what we're saying. We're being a little more absolute. Yep. What is Rod? Rod, can you?
I think he's saying if we have a flag down already, do we grant the timeout? I would say no.
Yeah, I would say no.
No, I don't think so. That's what we're saying.
Or at least ask the coach, say, Coach, we have a foul in the play. Do you still want that timeout? And odds are no, he's not going to want it.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's the question where we say, look, you can't buy out of this. Are you sure you want that timeout?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. Hang on. Okay. Great clarification. If we enforce the penalty, the timeout's off.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely. Unless he's adamant that, I need the timeout because these idiots don't know what package is supposed to be.
Exactly.
Give the timeout.
Yes. That's a great point. That's a great point.
Good question.
But it's almost got to be like a second act in terms of decision making, right?
Give him the opportunity to buy back that timeout.
Well, I don't even know why we're talking about buying back. There's no timeout. I mean, we're enforcing the penalty. Maybe it's just my stubborn way of thinking. Literally, I don't even consider there's a timeout. No. We broke the huddle with 12, and then you call timeout clearly after that. It's a penalty. There's no timeout. Now, if he comes out and says, hey, F you, referee, I want the timeout. Okay, now, yes, you can have the timeout. Is that just semantics?
A little bit.
Okay, let's go back to the punt game. 2 polls, and we're doing good on time, so we're going to roll through this.
Man, we are doing great on time. This is like our 19th play tonight relative to
sure. I'll go with that. Yeah, we'll just set that out and say we did 19 plays. That's awesome. Check it out. When does the ball become dead? 4 options. Does it become dead when it breaks the plane of Team B's goal line? Does it become dead when the kicking team touched the ball in the end zone after it broke the plane of the goal line? And check out their body parts, if that matters. Does it become dead when the kicking team muffed the ball at the 4? Because he actually kind of muffs the ball and then, or does it become dead when he finally picks it up at the 3? So 4 options there. I believe we could have some rule differences here based on different. What am I saying?
Between federation.
Yes. Yeah. What is that called? Just, I don't know. There's like
federation rule differences. I don't know.
Sanctions? No, it's not sanctions. That's a negative word. I don't know what it's called. Why do we have so many different rules differences in all levels of football? I've always wondered that.
Me too.
But nothing we can control, so we just learn the rules that we are there to administer. So, Daniel, I wanted to just discuss, because I think this field level handheld camera right behind, almost down the goal line, Shows the back judge dropping the beanbag in the end zone. We're not trying to give anything away yet, and then watch the back judge's just body language as we signal what we signal here. Is that the proper? I'm not saying it's wrong at all. When I was watching this live, are we really communicating what we want to communicate with the signal in that location on the field? Would you work this any differently based on what you see?
No, I don't think so. The only thing I would do differently is just from a physical positioning perspective, rather than walk to the spot where we possess the ball, is stay in the end zone and signal touchback. So I don't know
what I was wondering. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if that. Okay, yeah, sorry. So I guess yes, I would do this differently. Just because this is something from a TV viewing audience perspective, and also, by the way, announcers' perspective. There's a really significant chance that they don't understand this rule, and they don't know what my touchback signal looks like. So I would also drop the beanbag in the end zone. Love just the patience and the cadence here of the back judge, but I would signal that in the end zone. A minor thing, but just to hopefully sell the fact that we have a touchback here. And then what I would want to tell the referee is that I've got illegal touching by teammate in the end zone after the ball broke the plane. And then, teammate recovered in the field of play, but we've got a touchback here.
So that leads us right into this poll, and I'm going to kill you on your wording in a second. That's okay though.
Okay.
It's getting late. I mean, it's getting late. It's all right.
It is late.
Okay, let's just go from top to bottom. 13% when it breaks the plane of Team B's goal line. So I think that's where we're back in. Corey, is that Federation?
Yes, I think yes.
So
right.
Wow.
Not college. Not our college rules. So that's okay. That's good learning, right? That's a rules difference. So this ball, even though it breaks the plane of the goal line, before it's touched, before any of that, this ball's still live. We all agree, I hope.
Yes.
Okay, good. So 13%, check that out. Study that rules difference. Great opportunity. This is why we're doing this. So awesome. 17%, when the kicking team touched the ball in the end zone after it broke the plane of the goal line. Is that when the ball becomes dead? What do you got? What are your thoughts? How would you explain that one?
I don't know. Other than touching the ball, I don't know anywhere in the game where a touch of a football is going to cause it to become dead.
Well, here's what I'll say. There is a level of football where this would create a dead ball.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't work that level, obviously.
I didn't know that.
But another rules difference, right?
So even if they jump from the field of play?
Right, but so in the NFL, if you touch a body part in the end zone and then touch the ball,
right,
ball's dead.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But does 15 touch it? I thought 15 batted it when he was in the air. Is that not the case?
Yeah, but his foot hits the ground in the end zone first.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You have to reestablish. Wow. Pro Rules Clinic?
Oh, that's so tight. Wow, he's right on the goal line. Well, 46,
but 46 was all over the end zone, so it doesn't even matter. And he touches it. So you can touch the end zone, but you have to reestablish. And now we're going into different rule sets. This is terrible. So, but that doesn't apply to college. College, what is it? It's the position of the ball that matters only, right? It doesn't, I mean, you can be in the end zone. You can be in the end zone, and that doesn't create a dead ball. The ball has to actually become dead by rule. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the kicking team touched it after it broke the plane of the goal line. It does not matter. Do you guys agree? In terms of making the ball dead?
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yes. Good. Okay.
So I would say then in the NCAA rules, nowhere does a touch create a dead ball unless you're standing out of bounds. It's a loose ball.
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay, perfect. So, and we may have butchered the pro rule too, by the way, but that's okay. We don't care about that. That game's boring anyway. When the kicking team muffed the ball at the B4, 2%. No, because that's muffing the football or just touching the football again does not create a dead ball. So we can get better off of that. And then 66% when the kicking team possessed the ball at the B3, and that's when the ball becomes dead, right? So that's really the result of the play. Daniel, is not a touchback.
Correct.
It's not a touchback. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no. You're absolutely right. That's a great point. I'm glad you say that. But I'm going to tell you that we have a touchback hanging is what I would say.
Yes.
And I would
Touchback
still,
hanging is slang, but that works.
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
That's what's that slang for?
Given there's no things happening over that I'm not aware of, down by the line of scrimmage, that this is going to end up being a touchback because we have an illegal touch in the end zone.
Illegal touch in the end zone. So a hanging touchback is really our slang for we had illegal touching by the kicking team after the ball broke the plane of the goal line.
Yeah. And so what I would do mechanically here is scan the field, and I would still signal to you that I have a touchback here and communicate it to you.
Would you give me that great illegal touching sign that you like to give me? Or no?
Yes, absolutely.
I think you would. I've seen you do
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. And I appreciate that. That makes a lot of sense. That's like a preliminary signal on a foul. I love that. You're standing in the end zone, giving the illegal touch, and then doing your touchback signal. I think that's solid. Next poll. Hang with us. So now we know when the ball became dead, okay? Check this out. What we saw the referee signaling illegal formation on the kicking team. Okay, 5 in the backfield. So now look at the poll. What are the 2 enforcement spot options available to Team B? Okay, these are the 2 enforcement spot options available. They can always decline the penalty, but these are the 2 enforcement spot options available. Is it previous spot B3 or previous spot? Yeah, they have to. It's an or statement, isn't it, Daniel? Previous spot or B3, previous spot or B4, previous spot or the B20. Okay, so basically, where can they enforce this 5-yard penalty for illegal formation? And I remember a crew that messed this up.
I do too.
Not a big deal. Here's the thing. You know what's funny about it, Daniel?
Well, it changed. Remember, it changed. It used to be one way, and now it's another way.
It did. This was a rule change about 6 years ago, whatever. You know what's funny? Who caught it? Who caught that we messed that up? That we messed this play up. Remember that? Who caught it?
I don't remember that.
Nobody. That's the answer. Nobody caught it.
Oh, on the field. Yeah, absolutely nobody.
Well, nobody caught it, period.
Really?
Greater, the whole audit process that we would go through back in the day, nobody caught it. 0 people caught it. We caught it. And guess what? We learned. That's what it's all about. But, we think, oh, we're good, right? We didn't get a downgrade. BS. We learned from it. So we've got this flag. Only 1 foul, kicking team, illegal formation. And we got to figure out what available enforcement spots we have to the receiving team. This playback can go on. These are great plays. So much easier on video than on the field, I think. Unless you communicate like you were talking about. Poll results. Okay, pretty good. I think we're good here. All right. So, okay, here we go. Look, and this is good. More opportunities, right? More opportunities. So we just said the ball's dead at the 3. Is that what we said, or the 4? I can't remember. 3 or the 4. Ball's dead at the 3. So we have a hanging touchback, but Daniel, the result of the play is not a touchback. It's absolutely not a touchback. Where does the dead ball belong to
Great
Team
point.
B? Where at? Is it the 4, the 3, or the 20? Where does the dead ball belong to Team B?
Looks like the 3.
It's at the 3. The dead ball belongs to Team B at the 3. All right, so what's our rule? And I don't even remember. We've had the rule reference before. It's like 6, 3 something, maybe 13. Why not? Okay, 6, 3 something, and it's like it's in the teens. You can tack on Team A fouls from where the dead ball belongs to Team B. They literally mean where Team B has possession of, where the ball would be next put in play by Team B. Absent any fouls and absent any violations, by the way. So we can't tack on from the 20 if the result of the play is not a touchback. You with me?
Yes, I'm very with you.
Okay, I know we've gone over this before, but we're going over it again. We're still half of us maybe confused. This ball belongs to Team B where it becomes dead. at the 3-yard line. So that is the only option in terms of the tack on enforcement. Obviously, the basic spot is the previous spot. That's an option. And then we have our tack on penalty enforcement from where the dead ball belongs to team B.
And we've said this, or I've said this. I don't know, because we've had this conversation, and golly, it's one that we probably could have weekly. And
yeah,
and if we really wanted to get efficient or proficient and good at it, but that belongs to is sometimes I think what's confusing.
I think it is. Throw out the violations. This is just an illegal touching violation in the end zone that, yes, would eventually result in the ball being awarded to team B at the 20, as if it's a touchback. But remember, when we accept penalties, that cancels the privilege to take the ball at the spot that illegal touching would give the ball to that team at. So you accept this penalty, that illegal touching spot completely goes away. Now, all we're left with is where that man right there possesses the football at the 3-yard line, or the basic spot here, which is the previous spot. I'm trying to find a different way to explain that maybe makes more sense. How am I doing?
Yeah, that's confusing. I mean, it trips me up still from time to time.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe the most simplistic way is just to say, like you said, just the violation just goes away. You just got to quit thinking about it in that context. When you get in this situation, or that situation rather.
Yeah. I guess it's just we got to know when the ball becomes dead. Okay, that's why we had the first poll question. The ball becomes dead when it's possessed, or if it were to hit grounded in the end zone untouched by the receiving team, sure, then it's dead. But that never happens here. So they legally bat the ball back. That's legal batting. That's a rule. Look that one up too. 6-3-11, I believe. I don't know many rule references, but I know some of those.
Yeah, and nail them so far.
I know, man. We just got to remember that we accept a penalty. Illegal touching goes away. Forget the fact that you ever had illegal touching. Just forget about it.
Yep.
Because it can't be an enforcement spot. All right. Now the rule changed. We had a question. Rule changed 6 years ago, whenever it was that there was an exception to the exception. You could actually tack on from the 20 here. This play, you would tack on to the 20. That was like an exception to the exception, but that doesn't exist anymore.
It's when the tack-on rule first came out, I believe, wasn't it?
Yes.
That they kind of overlooked that aspect.
I think you're right. I think that's exactly what happened, Corey. Yeah. And good point here. That is illegal batting because it's batting in the end zone, but there's an exception that it's not a foul because they're just trying to save a touchback, So that's a really good point by Jeremy. So if the ball lands in the end zone, the option is from the 20. Yes, because the ball belongs to team B at the 20 as a result of it being a touchback. Okay. PSK, the illegal touching spot doesn't go away. Okay. PSK are fouls by team B.
Now you said something, Brandon, that I want to make sure we're relaying this. So you said you can never enforce from the 20. You can't enforce team A fouls. You can enforce team B fouls.
Yes. That's a whole different topic.
Right. 100%. I don't want to open up that can.
And if I said you can never, what I meant is if the result of the play is not a touchback, you can't just enforce the penalty from the 20.
Okay. There you go. Good clarification.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so there's some PSK. I'm not even talking about PSK fouls. So I'm not sure where we're going with that. That's not what I meant. If I confused people with PSK, I hope that wasn't me. That was unintentional, so I apologize. These are fouls by Team A is what we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay. All right, cool. What else? This is it. I mean, this is the last play. Roscoe, man, did you have fun?
Always. I really appreciate you guys inviting me. It was good to talk some football, look at some video, and learn some stuff. It's always a great thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very good. I know what we're talking about now. Yes. So there's a explicit clause in the rules. Flip the scenario. This is a foul by Team B. Illegal touching in the end zone. That creates a PSK spot at the B20. Absolutely.
Yep.
So that's
correct.
That's
yes.
totally
correct.
Different scenario. Yes. So put the foul on team B, illegal touching in the end zone. PSK, the end of the kick is considered to be the B20. Now we go 3-1 to enforce it. But that's team B fouls. So good rules, good learning, good discussion. Roscoe, man, really appreciate you coming on. We'll see you in New Orleans.
I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, 9 days away. Crazy enough.
Oh
I can't even believe that's possible.
Right.
Awesome. Okay. Daniel, I don't know if you want to address. Michael has a good question as we kind of shut this down on the fair catch signal.
Oh, yeah, great question. So we'll have the punt returner bracketed in this case between whoever the deep wing on the top of the video is. And so if we'll have the fair catch signal, and then as we have to transition our attention to the ball, we really need the deep wing to make sure he has an awareness of what the kick returner does and if he goes and blocks anybody. And then, he may come and tell us, kick returner blocked, and then, we need to know if there was a fair catch signal or not, because if he signals fair catch and he blocks, well, we know that's a foul, and then the back judge will want to drop his flag.
And let's make sure we're talking about the off deep wing. So in this situation, it'd be the field judge that would watch that. So I think too often times, that the field judge will still try and watch the ball getting batted, between the back judge and side judge, and that's not where we need to be visually. We need to go with that return. And you said it precisely right. If we see a block, we come to you and say, hey, did your returner signal? If you say yes, and we have a block, then we say, hey, Daniel, you got to throw a flag.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Corey. I think I misspoke. The deep wing that we're bracketing the ball with is gonna be working the ball in the plane of the goal line with us, and that the other deep wing is going to work that punt returner and be responsible for whether or not he blocks. Thank you.
Awesome. On that note, Daniel, Corey, great work, man. Great work. Thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
All right.
It's fun. We'll
see you
talk next Tuesday, right?
Let's do it.
Yeah,
right.
I'll be there.
See you
Thanks,
then.
Roscoe. It was good seeing you, man. Good talking to you, and I can't wait to share a cocktail or two with you in the Big Easy.
Thank you, brother.
There you
Thanks,
go.
Roscoe.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.